annual trip to Snetterton saw a good sized grid for the Super Saloons and TinTops in 2022. It'd be Rob Birley setting the pace in qualifying in his Ford Escort WRC, going much better than recently. Alex Sidwell had a time-consuming spin in his Holden Commodore, which confined him to third spot on the grid. It was Mark Diath that had snatched pole position in his Subaru last minute, but unfortunately he wouldn't be able to make race number 1. Adrian Bradley would be the leading Class B runner in 4th, Peter Selden the leading Class D runner in 5th. Martin Reynolds would be the highest placed C-Class car in 8th position in his Ford Anglia. Matt Rowling would be the leading TinTop in 10th position in his T2 Honda Civic Type R. Liam Pauling put in another fantastic performance to be 17th place on the grid in his Class T3 Citroen Saxo. He qualified in a 2:22.9, ahead of some of the Super Saloons. Graham Richardson would be next in his Class T1 Honda Civic. He would line up 18th and 1st in class. James Seal put in a great performance in qualifying to be the leading Class TP runner in 23rd position. And it would be 28 car setting times in qualifying, 22 seconds between the fastest and slowest drivers, but around this very long circuit it was still TBC whether anyone will be lapped in race number 1. As mentioned, missing at the start was poleman Mark Diath. Unfortunately couldn't get his car repaired after an issue in qualifying. But the rest of the grid set up on their rather sedate rolling lap, with Birley leading into Riches and round the Wilson hairpin. Then he would unexpectedly slow. It transpired that Rod had found a pothole on the side of the track, damaging his near side rear wheel and smashing the brake caliper.
CMMC Super Saloons and Southern TinTops blast into life at Snetterton as they head down the pit straight towards Ritchie for the first time, and it is the two most powerful cars on the grid, I think, arguably, which is the Ford Escort WRC and the Holden V8 supercar that turn into Ritchie's for the first time. Everyone a bit tentative, looking to try and find their own piece of real estate through Ritchie's corner, but I think they've just about got through without too much drama. And now they turn their way out of the right hand into the hairpin. So Birley leads, under pressure for second place is already Alex Sidwell from Adrian Bradley in the BMW M3. That's the big green car with the time attack strip across its windscreen. So Ken Angell in the number 37 BMW. Next others that are picking their way through the order. They come up through the left hand at Palmer, down towards Agostini for the first time. So, in fact, oh, actually, what's happened to Rob Birley? He's completely disappeared. In fact, you think he's in the pack a little bit there because through has gone to Alex Sidwell into relief. In fact, no, there he is on the right hand side. Rob Birley has a problem on the right hand side of the screen. The car's slowing up. I'm afraid it's Rob Birley. So after 2 or 3 corners of glory, I'm afraid the Ford Escort WRC has become a little bit temperamental and has expired on him.
This would leave Sidwell in the lead, with Adrian Bradley chasing on behind in second. Ronan Bradley was not too far behind in third, whilst Nick Sutton had soon climbed up to 4th position. Reynolds was rapid in his Anglia and was up to 5th position quickly. Then it would be Selden behind, battling with Watson.
Beautiful sounding, whole proper Aussie V8 sound. I think there's a problem there for the VW Scirocco. Yeah, there's a bit of steam and smoke coming out the back of the 34 car. That is Steve Dan in the Scirocco. I'm afraid that car's going straight into pit lane, so unfortunately his race is also run as well.
Liam Pauling would lose the Class T3 lead after a costly spin at the second corner. That would allow Dominic Ryan to get through. And further back still, it was myself battling along with James Seal in a fantastic battle, one of my most enjoyable battles of the season so far, as Gideon September would squeeze between us two as well.
Side by side between 223 and 75. 223 Alex Baldwin's Honda Civic. Strapping with James Seal, his Super Tune Motorsport prepared Fiesta ST150. Back straight. See the power differences here, the thumping turbo on that and the flame spitting out that Ford Sierra Cosworth as it charges down the two Honda Civic, the BMW and the Volvo C30. It goes straight on. So the Ford Sierra either couldn't stop or had an issue which has forced him off the road, but that's quite unusual. Wanders his way back onto the circuit. That was, I'll remind myself who that was. Number 8 is... Right, that's Paul Restall in his Ford Sierra. He rejoins in front of Jeremy Sutton's Cosworth RS500 example in the same sort of Benson Hedges livery that the likes of Tony Longhurst and Alan Jones used to race back in the Australian touring car days, back when it was Group A.
Martin Scott had made good progress in his Class D Volkswagen Golf, just ahead of Rowling, the two of those battling together for the majority of the race. Rowling, incidentally, was also the highest placed TinTop. The next TinTop was Neil Gardner, but he was behind Paul Restall in the Sierra Cosworth and Jack Whitehead in the BMW. And further back, there was a terrific scrap for T1 honours between Graham Richardson in his Honda, Dave Charlton in his Seat and Ken Angell in his BMW. Charlton would get the upper hand late on when Jeremy Sutton joined in their battle in his Class B Sierra Cosworth, splitting the group up somewhat.
There are also various classes in this series. There's lots of different class leaders and finishers in this one. For the record for who's wearing which class, as we see a couple more two more BMWs going at it. I think that's Paul Watson, Peter Selden, and they're having a scrap over that is 6th position. So Peter Selden's car is the 27 car. That's the red BMW with the sort of wrap-around rear wing on the back. And then the sort of more traditional rear wing, that's Paul Watson with the big black rear wing, the orange BMW in front of him. They're having a nice little tussle over P6 at the moment. Meanwhile, the Holden V8 supercar thunders its way past the pits again. The gap has come down once more. It's now come down by another, basically it's been halved because the gap is now, what was 1.5, it's now 0.8 of a second, so it's come down pretty substantially. Side by side again. Two BMWs going into combat here, both of them E36 BMWs, both of them M3s. Slightly different specifications, but Watson manages to hold on to the inside line. And through he goes back into P6 ahead of Selden. I think that toss is going to go on for the rest of the race, I wonder. So just in terms of class leaders, Class S is Alex Sidwell, Class B is leader is Adrian Bradley in his BMW, 2nd overall. As we see James Seal and Alex Baldwin once again getting into combat. Ford Fiesta versus Honda Civic. Class A is being led by Nick Sutton's Mitsubishi Evo 10. The Martin Reynolds Ford Anglia is leading Class C in 5th position. Class D is being led by the Peter Selden BMW. The T2, which is the first of the TinTop cars, so this is all Super Saloons in the first day. The first TinTop car on the field is the T2 class car of Matt Rowling in the Honda Civic Type R. He leads the TinTop category portion of the race. It's class lead also in Class T1 is Dave Charlton's Seat Leon. He's currently in 13th position. T3, it's class leader is Dominic Ryan down in 17th place. And the TP, I think, which is the T production class, is being led by Ian Seal, who's having that battle. That's actually for the class lead between himself and Alex Baldwin in TP class. So, actually, Baldwin getting back through now. So these two actually are battling over a class lead here, which is we might have to keep a small eye on whilst we look at the leaders. There it is. And Alex Sidwell's taking it almost quite leisurely in towards the complex. He's almost been caught off guard by Adrian Bradley. Up the inside he goes. Alex tries to respond here. It's going to be a proper drag race, and the power of that Holden V8 sees him thump past the BMW straight back towards him. I thought for a second that the Holden had a problem, but look at the way in which the Holden just stretches away on the straights. What a fantastic machine that car is. Then immediately has to stand on the anchors to get it stopped for turn 1. So, as I say, thank you to the likes of Andy Robinson and Alex Sidwell, one of those who have got these cars outside of Australia, because we get to enjoy them here in series like this. Whoa, and Adrian Bradley really puts the lock stops on. Had to get very sideways to try and catch up to the back of the Holden Commodore, but again, the power of that V8, which makes a beautiful noise as it comes past the commentary box here. And Alex Sidwell sets another new fast lap of the race just to hammer the point home. Whoops! That's the rear bumpers off the car. So the rear bumper's completely come clean. Well, at least if it was hanging off, he might have got a black and orange flag. At least it's completely come off the road. And Alex Sidwell is, I'm sure, ideally for him, and also quite relievingly, is going to be able to pick up a race victory here. Bradley sitting very close towards the end, but the power of the Holden Commodore is going to be more than enough to get into the checkered flag. And the first race of the day for the CMMC Southern Saloons and TinTops, Alex Sidwell takes victory in the thunderous Holden Commodore. A brilliant win for the Holden. Sidwell wins. It is Adrian Bradley in second place, and Ronan Bradley in the second of their team BMWs will come across the line in P3. Here he comes. P3 for Ronan Bradley, so it's both Bradleys on the podium. It'll be fourth for Nick Sutton in his Mitsubishi Evo 10, and the fifth place for this wonderful little Ford Anglia. It's small, but it's potent, and it's got quite a bit of kick in it in a straight line as well. Now, as for P6, that's a change between Selden and Watson on the last lap. Selden got through. So it's going to be 5th position for Adrian Reynolds, 6th for Paul Watson, 7th for Peter Selden, and then 8th for Martin Scott, 9th for Matt Rowling, and 10th for Jack Whitehead in his BMW M3.
So at the flag, it'll be Alex Sidwell holding off Adrian Bradley only by 1.4 seconds in the end, so a great performance from Adrian in his Class B car to keep up with Sidwell in his Class S car. Ronan would be in 3rd place with Nick Sutton in 4th. Martin Reynolds was next in his Class C car, then ahead of 5th placed Peter Selden, the Class D winner. Then it would be Watson, Scott, Rowling, the leading TinTop runner, and Restall completing the top 10. Following those would be Whitehead, Gardner and Charlton, who was the T1 winner. Jeremy Sutton was next as Richardson held off Angell. Joining Birley in retirement in this first race were Adrian Matthews and Steve Dan, the latter two both getting out for the second race of the day.